All right, what's going on, everyone, and welcome back to more Black Desert. So today was patch day. It is November 15th, and basically all the classes, well, most of them, got PvE buffs, and I wanted to talk about the Dark Knight buffs for Succession and Awakening that were released today. So you can read the official patch notes, but we're just going to go over it together, and I wanted to give you my thoughts and opinions, like, is it good, and let's see which classes are better. But for the sake of Dark Knight, let's talk about this. So right now, main in Succession, we did get some damage number buffs as well, but these at the top right here are basically effects more than damage, and then we'll talk about the damage changes in a second. So pervasive darkness, for all of you guys who don't know, that is like a flow to abilities. And like you do an ability and then pervasive darkness comes pretty much after that. It's not like any set skill, but it's one that goes following it. So yeah, all the attacks have the same range, and the expression for maximum hits has been deleted. So as far as I understand from reading this is more like a range increase, more or less, to the left and right, which I think is probably fine. I'm gonna have to test that one out later. Next, we have Corrupt Ground, 1 to Absolute. Remove the MP cost. That was never really an issue, I'll be honest. Change to MP recovery from 20 to 40 at the higher levels to 30 to 80. I've never really had MP issues with that ability, but I guess people did, so they changed it. I figured with the infinite potions these days, a lot of mana and cost recovery things are less relevant. So I think that just goes for all classes in general, but ever since the infinite potions came out, I just never really had a problem. Or as you progress through the game and you get like more gear and everything, your stats obviously increase. So I remember back in the day, Awakening used to have some issues with MP, but just it wasn't really ever a problem to me. Increased HP recovery from 20 to 40, or from 20 to 40 to 40 to 150. I think that's a decent change because you don't really use Corrupt Ground as a damage ability. It's more of one of those things to pull enemies in PvE. It's like you just hit your Corrupt Ground and then either all the enemies just funnel towards you, or you just kind of use it as a filler skill. So if you were grinding higher end areas, I know I have, like, for example, the City of the Dead, the Ulakita area, I use that when things are in cooldown or I have a bit of downtime. And so being able to recover HP is always good. The MP part never really had an issue, but I mean, cool, I guess. Next we have Lunacy of Adir. HP recovery from 30 to 50 to 60 to 100. Again, never really had too much of an issue with HP recovery on Lunacy of Adir, but now it's a thing that has been buffed, so cool, I guess. Comma Slash basically doubled. Improved the attack to be applied with, or according to the animation effect during the prime Comma Sylvia slash charging, moving backwards with RMB and attacking. That's actually a neat one. So Comma Slash works in a way that, like, you can, it's an ability where you hold and charge it, and it used to actually be super OP, and then they had to tone that down. So it's one of those skills where it kind of does like true damage. And so if you've ever used it both in PvP and PvE, you'll notice that people take a huge chunk of damage. That's because the damage works a little bit differently with that ability. And so improve the attack to be applied accordingly. The way I guess some people use it is you can either hold it and have a frontal guard, or you can hold it and then dash and then get behind someone, and then usually it'll like CC them. So I guess it's been changed so that when people do backwards attacks with it, it still reflects the effect on it. Cool, I think. Most people don't go backwards, I don't think. Most people either hold it as a frontal or dash behind someone. That's just my experience in both PvP and PvE. updated the following when comboing into another skill with Twilight Dash. So yeah, like comma slash can be comboed with Twilight Dash. So you dash in and then you hold and then it'll comma slash. So correct number of hits, resolving the issue of 2 hits being missed. Yeah, I kind of noticed this one. I didn't really think of it as a big deal because you don't have to flow it with anything. But now that's resolved, I think it might actually be more useful. Fix an attack where the area was narrower than intended in some situations. I always thought that issue was when like you didn't charge it all the way. Like there's going to be a bar to do it. But then I always thought it was like if you just drop it halfway, that's why it wasn't as full powered. But I guess that was a bug. So cool. Now I know. Fix an issue where the enemy occasionally did not move backward in certain situations due to the aforementioned issues. I always thought that was just CC resistances, I'm gonna be honest, but I guess it was a bug, so glad it's fixed. Cool. You never know in this game. Like, I understand with PvP, like, CC resistances are a thing, so I figured that, it, like, when it worked the same way in PvE, I thought that was just, like, enemies have some sort of hidden resistances. Well, it's good to know. It's a pretty big change, actually. Ravage Rake and the Flow Ravage Rake. So as you guys know, these abilities are more used when you're playing Succession and less so much when you're doing Awakening. And let's see, so the HP recovery increase, that's cool. It is one of your main abilities that you just use in Succession, so I think it's good. Let's see. Move the description of Absolute Flow Ravage Rake to Ravage Rake 1 to 3. Hover your mouse over the skill to check. Okay, cool. I believe it. Improved flow to be activated. I didn't really think that was an issue. Like, you just hit Ravage Rake and then hold the button. So it's just like, I thought that's how it worked. But apparently people struggled holding LMB and RMB. But it's whatever. It's fixed, I think. All right, so let's get into the damage numbers now. And these are actually things that I want to talk about because, one, these are all PvE changes. So I want to talk about it in terms of my experience and just overall, like, what I noticed when grinding both high-end areas, mid-tier areas, and I guess whatever else. So, Ravage Rake. For Succession players, this is going to be a huge change because, well, first of all, like, you do this and you just hold it down. It's like slash, slash, slash kind of thing, and it's just big damage. So, let's see what it changed. So when you see these numbers, like 964, 1218, it's like level 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So it basically only changed for 2, 3, and 4. Attack 2. Yeah, just... it's not... It doesn't seem like it's a big change, but it's a noticeable change. And so I think this is a huge thing they added, and I'm glad that Ravage Rake was one of them. Prime Enforcement increased from 1241, 1696, all the way to 2000 times 4. Enforcement is actually a very strong ability because, like, it does like a cross thingy that you can flow into a lot of other things. And I always thought it was a strong ability just already, but apparently Pearl Abyss just wanted to buff it even more, so that's cool, I think. It's one of those things where you have to kind of CC an enemy first before you actually get an enforcement. So, like, airstrike into something, and then once they're on the ground, you can enforcement all of them at once. But either way, it's PvE. You do things differently there. And, yeah, now that it does more damage, I think that's a good one. I just hope, like, realistically, if they buff this for PvP, that would be actually kind of scary. Prime, comma, slash. Let's see. So this one is a tricky one because I think that newer players who are, like, either re-rolling to Dark Knight or starting Dark Knight for the first time might get a little confused and struggle with comma slash in general. It is a very strong ability, but it's one of those things where you have to learn the timing before it makes sense and you use it in rotation. because it is one of those things where you have to wait the extra second to charge it before you let it off. I mean, you could just like instant cast it, but it's like it's better if you just fully charge it. Plus, you have to know how to do the movements with it. So I do think it deserved like a PvE buff. I just think it's going to be a little bit tricky for newer players to actually learn. Lunacy of Vidir. This is actually going to be probably one of the biggest ones that they're changing next to Spirit Legacy, but we'll talk about that in a second. So Lunacy of Vidir is considered one of the heavy hitter abilities for Dark Knights, and usually if you get everything CC'd and you just pop a Lunacy, things just die, and especially with the 100. So yeah, now that it got buffed, we're going to be testing it as well, and I think this is a huge change. I'm very happy to see this one. Slanted Balance, attack damage from 1120 to 1457. So I personally, I don't think many Dark Knights use Slanted Balance for like damage. It's more of like a CC and like to aggro things, I guess, in the PvP or PvE sense of it. So like you would just, let's say an enemy is over here, you Slanted Balance to aggro them, and then so everything would group up. I didn't really think it needed a damage bonus, but maybe like, I don't know, more accuracy or something, which would have been nice, but it's not really something you use for damage, but more of it as a pull or CC, depending on how you use it. So I'm glad it got buffed, but I don't think it was a major change. It's just okay. Next, we have Pervasive Darkness, the one that we talked about earlier with the thingy over here, this ability. So attack damage 1 from 1440 to 1672. It's not one of those things where it does big damage, but you combo it in with another ability to the point where it actually will like make a difference. So I guess just overall the damage output is higher, which is overall just good. So I'm happy with that. Airstrike. 1156 to 1560. So this is an interesting one. I personally, once again, kind of like Slanted Balance. I didn't really see Airstrike as a huge damage ability. It's more to get from point A to B, or to just, you know, like get out of situations. So it's not really something that, like, if you didn't use it before for damage, it's not going to make much of a difference. It's going to be like just minor. You still use it the same way you did before. It's just like, it does more damage, but it shouldn't be like your main source of damage, is what I'm trying to say. All right, it says Prime Spirit Legacy. This is actually a huge change from 1297 to 2140. So if you don't know what Spirit Legacy is, it's basically your spirit bomb. If you ever watch Dragon Ball, you know exactly what that is. You drop your pink bomb and it does big damage. So I'm happy to see that it got a huge buff, and a PvE buff, that is. And yeah, we're definitely going to test it, because I just want to see how fast things get melted now with Spirit Legacy, because it is probably one of your biggest hitting skills next to Wheel of Fortune and Lunacy of Vidir. So the fact that it got like an 800% damage buff tells you that one DK was kind of, they weren't that good in PvE, and we already knew that. But yeah, maybe I just want to pray that one day that DKs will be on the same level, if not equal to like Wusas in PvE. But we're missing a lot of guards for that one, so I just hope the damage one day will be equal copium. But anyway, all right, let's talk about Awakening. So I kind of skimmed this a little bit earlier before, and I do actually think a lot of these Awakening abilities are really good, to the point where I think Awakening might actually just straight up be better than Succession in most cases. So Spirit Hunt, MP doubled per hit, excellent. Never really had that issue, but cool. Anything with MP, never really had an issue, but I know with Awakening you do use more MP than Succession does. So if you have an infinite pot, a lot of this is still irrelevant. And let's see. Touch of Exploitation, basically 30%, or yeah, I guess maybe like a 20-30% buff and for HP recovery. If you have an infinite potion, cool. If you don't, it's still not saving you from most things. Removed MP recovery effect on hits for Grip of Grudge. Added the effect of recovering HP per attack. I think that's an overall like positive change because once again, MP not really an issue post infinite potions. So the fact that you just recover HP allows you to grind higher end spots, which I think is good. Corrected the description of the number of magic attacks of the skill. Oh, that's just a flow. So shattering into flow of bombardment. That's how it works. From 8 to 6 accordingly. Yo, wait. So, okay. So let me say, I haven't played Awakening in quite a while. Has it always been, like, incorrectly described as 8 attacks when it's been doing 6 attacks? Or has... Wait, hold on. Adjusted number... Okay, no, it's just been adjusted. Okay, never mind. I thought it's just been, like, tooltip bugged for, like, 6 years, and I just never really noticed. Okay, so it's probably because they had a damage change, so they had to nerf it a little bit. So, sure. Let me know about that. Actually, I'll test it later. Trap of Veneer. Improve the character to smoothly spin the camera when using the direction or using the skill. I could see that. It's kind of like old Airstrike when you had to camera turn, like you airstrike and then camera turn just to get out of certain situations. So I guess Trap of Veneer is similar to that, but smoother. So the cooldown changes for a lot of these has been changed, and I think these are very important to talk about because a lot of these actually fit in with your like cooldown cycle or your rotation. So Spirit Blaze from 8 to 5 seconds. This is a 3-second change, which is actually pretty huge, and it just allows you to I guess use it more often. And then admittedly, Spirit Blaze isn't like your main ability for like damage or anything. It's just one of those filler things, but I guess you can use it more now. Trap of Veneer from 12 seconds. It's more of like an escape to or mobility ability that allows you to like go from point A to B a little bit differently. So I'm glad it got a change. Cluster of Despair is a huge AoE damage. So the fact that you can use it more often and it fits more within your combos is actually huge. So this is one of the big ones. Dark Nebula from 9 to 7 seconds. Pretty good because a lot of the awakening abilities that I've noticed are between 7 to 10 seconds. And when you're playing Awakening, you mostly stick to Awakening abilities. Some classes cycle through main hand and Awakening, but for DK Awakening, you kind of just stay on that. So Dark Nebula now fits into your combos more easily, or the flow feels smoother, which I think is a good thing. Spirit Legacy dropped from 1 second per level. That's huge, actually. Like, Spirit Legacy is one of your biggest abilities for both PvP and PvE. So the fact that these got a 1 second reduction, I know it's like to a non-DK player, you're just like, oh, 1 second, whatever. But like, if you actually know how to play, 1 second is huge on like timings for everything. And so I know this. I've been playing DK for, I don't know, like a little bit after it came out. So like, I can tell 1 second is huge. Seed of the Void. 2 seconds, 1 second off for everything. That's cool. Flows got cut down by 1 second. So it looks like they want to make everything within the 7 to 9 second range for your entire combo. So like you can hit a full combo in less than 7 and then do fillers and then repeat. So I think that makes Awakening very strong. Like even if the damage didn't change, these timers, a lot of these are pretty good. So this one I think is an important one. The Flow, Spirit Legacy, Dark Nebula, and Cluster. Everything else is just like situational. So Touch of Exploitation. Damage itself wasn't really a concern, but I'm glad they buffed it. Spirit Hunt is used mostly to either transition from main hand to Awakening. It wasn't so much for damage, but now that it does more, I guess that's a good thing. Spirit Blaze, just more damage now. That's cool. Same with the Flow. I personally, with Awakening, I just hotkey to flow instead of having to hit both of them, because I think it has a CC now, but like it used to take so long that like if you try to do it on someone, they would just grab you out of it and it's over. So now that it's faster, I remember that got changed and it does more damage and might actually be useful now. I'm gonna try that one day. Shattering Darkness, one of your main Awakening abilities. Hold up. That's a lot of numbers. Let me look at this for a second. Phantom Blade. Just got damage buff times more damage. Cool. There's a lot less text in the after part of it, which I think is good. Magic damage is just basically doubled. Irrelevant PvP stuff. Big damage. Good stuff. Flows basically doubled, but reduced the number of hits. I think that's a good thing, because with this game, especially if you don't play on the Korean servers, you have to factor in latency, lag, and all that stuff. So the fact that they reduced the total number of hits is actually a very good thing, because like, let's say something says, I don't know, 1,000 times 7, right? Right here. Now, chances are in PvP, or I guess even PvE, you don't really always hit all 7 ability or attacks. So the fact that they lowered the number overall and just boosted the damage, I think that's across the board for all classes a very good thing. And it kind of helps with the lag and latency issues, but it's like a band-aid fix. But I think it's overall a step in the right direction. Seed of Catastrophe looks like it's about a... Oh, it does another attack, which is not what we wanted to see, but it's more damage. Like, overall, this is a good change. I just kind of wish they didn't add the extra attack to it. So it is what it is. It's a good change. I'm not complaining, but I wish they would just reduce the number of attacks across the board for all classes, but increase the damage. Trust me when I say it'll make people feel like they're stronger. Instead of having to land all the attacks, you just land less hits, but you do more. And trust me, it just makes you feel like you're stronger. The Flow of Root just does more damage. Cool. Spirit Legacy, this is a huge change. Just overall across the board, more damage. That's fantastic. Trap of Veneer, you don't really use it for damage. You use it to get out of situations or to move from point A to B faster. Soul Snatch is just it's not a flow, it's just like filler damage. So the fact that it got buffed is always good. Cluster of Despair, getting a DPS bonus is huge. If you are grinding like lower to mid-tier areas, this will actually just like instead of leaving your enemy at like 1% health, I know we've all done it, this will actually finish it off. That's good. Grip of Grudge is not really an ability that you use for damage, even though it looks like it just got 1,000% more, even though it reduced the cost or the attacks. I think it's a good change, but you don't use it primarily as a damage source. It's more of a either regen now, I guess, or to like filler damage. Dark Nebula. Ooh. I kind of hate how it's from 4 to 6 now instead of 5 to 5, but like it's doing more damage. They somehow came up with that number to make it different. I will always have the stance of less overall hits, but higher damage is the way to go across the board. All right, well, that's about all the Dark Knight changes for both Succession and Awakening. I think overall they're very good changes. Some of them are a little weird, like why they added damage. They should have just added like more accuracy on some of the abilities, or you know, higher crit rate or something. But instead they chose to add like mobility damage, which is fine. I'm not really complaining, but it's kind of wonder how they got to that conclusion. But overall I think it's fine. So yeah, with your class, let me know what you guys think of it. I heard Sage got like super buffed and it's like actually nuts. But yeah, overall, that's about it. That's all I wanted to talk about in this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. and learn something from Dark Knight's perspective. And yeah, that's all I wanted to talk about. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys later. Peace.